When are you starting rehearsals?
Like the 27th of January.
So you go to Japan.
Go to Japan, a little thing I and then like kind of chill at home in LA for a week for
Right.
the last time.
Right.
And then,
Do you remember the first time you met? And what surprised you the most about each other when you met?
actually, I remember the first time I met Bob was in Con '92 when I was there with Reservoir Dogs, and he had a little party on his boat, and
No, oh, it's somebody else's boat.
oh,
Was
somebody,
that- yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't-
we
somebody, yeah.
we old acting teacher of mine is Alan Garfield, is a contemporary. And
Oh, yeah.
I came up to Bob and go, "Hey, I used to study with Alan Garfield," and the response was, "Oh well, that there's nothing more to be said."
And Bob, what surprised you the most about Quentin?
Well, I hadn't. I had heard about Quentin and so on through actually Harvey Keitel, who had been working with him, and then I don't know. That's how we first met on the boat. But
Oh yeah, that was he did. I was just one of the many zillions of people he's introduced to, of course, of a party.
But then I finally saw. I hadn't seen Reservoir Dogs. I think I saw Pulp Fiction first, and I remember I had friends working on it, telling them Uma Thurman and Harvey and other people telling me they're working on this movie with Quentin, and then I saw it. It was terrific. And
What did you like in them, in the two movies? Did you like the
Well,
spirit and the way?
yeah,
they were
especially
done?
yeah, it was terrific, and the sense of humor, the irony, a lot of things that I like in movies and characters and so on. So Quentin and I just would run into each other from time to time here and there, get together, and
And we talk about different projects
yeah,
with
we
your company
talked
and
about
everything.
projects, yeah, and stuff. And finally, this came along.
Yeah.
you know.
Do you remember the first time you spoke of Jackie Brown? And what was your discussion like?
Well, it was actually it was kind of funny how Bob got the script because I wasn't 100% sure that he would respond to Lewis, but I've had the idea in my head that he would be that he could be wonderful for it, but I just didn't know if he'd be interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And before I'd even had the kind of built up the the courage or whatever to send it his way, Harvey Weinstein had slipped it to him. And then so then we started we got together and started talking on the phone. I think he responded to the script right off, but then it was a situation of just keep talking about it, which had more to do with not talking him into it, but talking about the character.
Yeah.
Since the beginning, the first discussion you have was about the character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What did you like in the script when you first read it?
Well, I like the whole energy, the whole feel of the script. I knew it would be interesting and it would work, and so that was it. I liked the characters, the way Quentin wrote them, the way he took it from the book.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you know the book?
No, I didn't know the book. I read it after Quentin had, and I read the prequel to it. I guess you call it.
Right. Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the character Lewis when he was younger, it was great.
What did you think Robert De Niro was the best one to play Lewis?
Well, one of the things about Lewis is I remember I'd always felt as I was writing it that Lewis doesn't say a whole lot. All right, he's a man of a few words, and but I felt that this could be one of the best acting roles I'd ever written, but it's not going to be like the normal acting roles I've written, where people get to say all these cool, funny lines or get to give big monologues. It's a character that needs to be gotten through body language, and I go, I need I need an actor that just won't stay on the surface. I mean, I need an actor who won't stay on the surface in everything, okay? But I really need a character actor. I really need an actor who can get a performance through body language, all right? And I'm to really realize what was there on the page, I needed somebody like Bob. And we had that discussion. And I think what I was talking about is exactly what I was talking about. What I was talking about, what I needed for Lewis is, that's exactly what Bob does. All right, you know, it was so funny because it was just it was great. It was great working with Bob because it's all about the character. There's not this moment or that moment as an actor, or I don't know. There's no vanity involved. It's all about character, and it was just a joy for me to have as much character discussion. You know, and finding him little by little, and you know, what shoes he would wear, and would he wear a watch? Would he wear jewelry? No, he wouldn't.
Did you agree at once on the way he looks, and on the way he dresses, on the way he moves, and the way he speaks?
Well, that just sort of happens. We worked it out with Quentin had certain ideas about clothes, which I liked, and and I wouldn't have come up with those ideas myself. I would have maybe come up with maybe something similar, but probably something different. And I liked the choice that he made, that he was leaning towards. I figured that's a good way to go. And it was also something that I wouldn't have maybe been finally really that. I don't know if I would have made that ultimate choice. So, but him making it, I liked it as something that he thought of from his wherever that comes from. So that was good. You know, in other words, allowing myself to be get something. I don't want to complicate this. I know I could say it in a sentence, but to get a choice to be made that I would go along with, which is something that is not within, like those shirts and stuff
Right,
like
yeah.
that, and things that from the retro shirts or whatever. I don't even know what that store is. You know, like
Right,
that kind
yeah.
of thing. That's more like his thing, his generation, maybe something that's like a. So I said, it's great, you know.
For an example, what did the idea come from of the tattoos like bracelets?
I don't. That's something that with Alona, my makeup person, she came up with it. We did Cape Fear. We figured that'd be kind of interesting. It wasn't. It was more homemade, and we talked with Quentin, and we just sort of went over it, the three of us, and I don't know,
Looking through different
Yeah,
designs
the
and
design.
yeah.
We went through a lot of designs. She came up with a lot of designs, and from books and stuff. And that's decided that would be
Yeah.
sort of
How
right.
would you define the main characteristic of Louis?
Oh, well, I like what Quentin said. He's not a, he's kind of like a, I don't want to say a loser, but kind of, but sort of.
Well, you know, one thing
He
is,
might have a more optimistic, more positive.
well, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, commenting on the fact that like, I think it's slightly simplistic. People are saying, well, so it's very interesting to see Bob play a dumb character like Lewis, and I think that's too easy to call Lewis dumb. Lewis isn't dumb. Actually, Lewis was very sharp in his day. All right, that's the point of what's going on right now. Is after he got let out of jail this third time, this last time for 4 years, you know, this last experience made him kind of punchy, the way a prize fighter can get punchy over a series of time. And he's just kind of, I always describe it as baked. He's just kind of baked right now. And he's even surprised by it. He's even surprised by it. You know, when the movie opens up, he's only been out of jail for 4 days. And he's been out of jail before and pretty much took back to, you know, the normal transition, but, you know, he's able to deal with the life and society and freedom. And he's having a little harder time this time, and he doesn't quite know why.
What was the most difficult thing to achieve for you, for both of you, in Jackie Brown?
I don't know.
You know, I don't really, you know, actually, there wasn't really anything difficult,
No.
all right, about, actually, that was the thing that's why it was so fun, all right, as far as us working together was, it just really kind of just went in step because, and I think that's, you know, I knew the character from having spent a year writing it, all right. You know, I'm not even saying like what I wanted, I just, you know, I knew the guy, all right, and Bob knew the guy, and And I think in both cases, and that's why we could keep passing the potato back and forth as far as building this character. The performance is all his, all right, but the building of the character was because they were never an idea Bob was trying to put on the character, and there was never an idea I was trying to put on the character. It was truly who we thought the character was.
Mm-hmm. And what do you usually expect from a director?
Well, what Quentin did is what I would expect at its best, because he's clear about what he wants. In his case, he adapted it, but adapted it very well. Made the script his own, more or less, as you would say. And with the writing, even the dialogue, I mean, he did change the dialogue,
Yeah.
and so in the whole situation, and the energy, and then finally just being very appreciative of whatever I was doing. Because it is, like he says, a lot of stuff that's behavioral that you don't say in word. There's no, like, dialogue, and it's actually a lot of fun to do that stuff, because you can, and if you have a director who is, who is responsive to that, and has that sensibility, it's a lot of fun. Because it could be but I wouldn't even be even considering the thing if I saw your other movies and they were a certain way, and he doesn't understand. So he totally understands, and it becomes a lot of fun.
You know, we yesterday we were at this thing, and Bertrand Tavernet was there, and he was talking about your performance, and he just said this wonderful thing about, you know, you're used to seeing Robert do these, you know, bravura, you know, things, and he was saying, you know, I just loved watching him sit on that couch and watch TV. You know, there was no, you know, it was acting itself. You know, it was completely unselfconscious, and in its own way, it was just, you know, it was a lesson in acting. Just sitting him watch TV and getting hypnotized by the images. And I agree. I mean, it was just from the first shot between him and Sam Jackson, you just really know who Lewis is by just the way he's holding that little drink of his and his kind of slumped over thing, and just kind of half listening, half falling asleep. All right, you know, with both Ordell droning at him and these girls, you know, getting him, and then just one of the things also in particular I like about, you know, the way that Lewis character, the way you get to know him, the way the audience gets to know him, is you get to know him not through like a normal thing of, I mean, like it's not until you go to the mall that you actually have any plot function,
Yeah.
right? In the movie, you know, Lewis' character is very much freed of the plot. You literally get to know him the way you get to know somebody in real life. You get to know him through hanging out with him, from like, you know, drinking screwdrivers with him and Ordell, either on the couch or in the bar, or taking bong hits with him and Melanie, you know, and it's just hanging out. And that's like actually, it's one thing his character's really good at.
What is the scene of Robert De Niro you like the most in the movie? Is there one, or?
Oh gosh, I would. You know, it would be the scene when Ordell halfway accuses him of treachery, and it's his response to it. Because, you know, if you boil down the movie to its pearl, and that pearl ends up being the love story between Pam Grier and Robert Forster, if that's the minor love story, the major love if that's a major love story, the minor love story is the love affair between Ordell and Lewis. I mean, Ordell loves Lewis as much as it's possible for Ordell to love anybody, all right? And I don't know if Lewis ever thinks I love Ordell, but he does have just almost an unquestioning loyalty and friendship and camaraderie with the man. And just Bob's response is just so, just, you know, there's true hurt and pain at even the suggestion.
And yours?
You mean my favorite scene?
Yes,
Or, well,
of
I can't say, but I mean, I like the scenes were all good. They were all, like, fun to do.
And were there a scene of which you were very
Well,
apprehensive before shooting it?
No,
No.
no. No, I mean, no, I haven't. I haven't seen the movie either yet, really. So I'm waiting to see it. And
He's gonna see it in the Black Theater in New York.
Just with the response.
He could have seen it here in
no,
Paris. I go, no, see it in the Black Theater.
I mean, maybe I'll just look at it before, but I definitely want to do that in New York after, because it's a different experience, obviously, than seeing it, in a screening room and here.
But actually, I was actually very, I was very touched and complimented when we got together to do the looping and everything. And there's always, there's all these things where, Bob has all the ability to look at all the dailies and do all these things and everything. And then he just told me, actually, during the shooting, he just told me during the shooting, he was like, you know what, I feel really good about this movie, and I'd rather, I don't want to see the dailies. I trust what I'm doing. I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I know it's getting done. So I'd rather just watch this movie. I don't want to have to have seen it, piecemeal, through the whole process. I want to just be able to have the experience of watching it. And it's funny. I'm just weird about that. That's a gift I would, if I had the choice, I would like to give to the actor, to just give them the movie-going experience when it was all said and done.
Do you usually go to rushes on every
I like
shooting?
to a lot of times. Lately, I haven't because I mean, I do always in the beginning, but in this case, I just decided not to do it because it takes away from a certain surprise that you get, and.
Can't it be a tool also?
Hmm?
Can't it
Oh,
be
it is a tool. I've
also?
always done it and do it, but it definitely is a tool. But I guess, it's like some directors, it always helps to look at the dailies. You're not going to lose from it. And anybody who feels differently, I always say no, I mean, but sometimes I like to, maybe because I've just had a lot of experience, as long as I know I'm on track, I'd rather now just sort of watch the finished product and see it, because it does become more of an actual experience. I can appreciate it myself more instead of being very sort of critical about things. And I can remember if I look at it's an odd thing, if I look at a rough cut of a movie, I can remember the takes that I did. The only thing I don't remember is I don't see the take. I can remember the takes, of course, the other people did, but I can't remember, which if I didn't see it, is the stuff that everybody else did. If I have some comment to make, so if I'm in a position of where I have to look at all the dailies as a producer or a director, then I have to remember this, don't remember that, or I saw that and this and that, but it makes it more of a surprise. So it's a trade-off.
Well, I would imagine that, if I was in your position, the number one thing that I would, just be so, I don't know, wary of, but just it would be a major concern is just, did the director pick the best takes?
Yeah, and that's always a thing, and you always don't want to get into a situation where you're telling a director, of course, what to do. You can't, I don't, but and some actors do, in that situation, but you have to, I trusted Quentin's his sensibility, obviously, and his choices. I mean, the most that I would do, even if I did, I'd just look at the thing and I'd say, that's a good. I'd sit with the director, that's a good one, that's a good one, and we usually agree because it was a good one. But there's so many other things too. When you're editing a movie, that might be a good take, but you have to get that, and it's really about that. So you have to lose that in order to get that, which is really what the scene is about. So So you can't be, as an actor, always thinking about yourself. I mean, you can, like, you watch it the first time, but then after, you've got to, like, remember that the whole thing has to be done and work for itself, so, anyway.
I remember there was one moment when we were shooting. It was just a little thing where we'd done, let's say, like the third take or something and something happened. I don't remember what it was, but I called cut. I canceled the take early. And I actually don't normally do that. I normally let things go on ad nauseum. Actually, I start way before the scene's supposed to start and just let it keep going if it's going. But for whatever reason, I ended up cutting the scene, and it was like the only time anything like this was ever said. It was like you just came up to me and go, I felt really good about those first couple of lines and everything. Just
Yeah, yeah.
you know, just print it. You don't, you know, just print it because
Yeah.
you'll like those first couple of lines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, because I don't want to worry, you can't worry, like, about some people can do it, and I just can't worry about every take and this and that, because I'm not the director, and I, like I said, trust Quentin, so, or the directors I work with, and you have to, if you see a rough cut, then you say, well, what about that, or wasn't it this or that, blah, blah, which is sort of what I did with you, but, you know, you can't, it's just too time-consuming and such an effort and you might as well not work with the director then, if you're going to not trust them in terms of their choices that are not always going to be, maybe not your favorite, but then I'd say, well, that's it, you know, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm too myopic or too centered with myself, and that he, you know, his choice is really a better one.
But you know, at the same time, one of the reasons I think you can do this, and again, I'm not just trying to throw compliments your way, is the thing is, like, there's so many times you work with an actor and, you know, they're good, and then they have their great take, all right? And yeah, and you know, there's always like scenes where, like, you know, wow, okay, that was the one. That always is going to happen. But that happens less with you, because you're just so character informed from the very, very beginning. You know, in the piece, and I'm talking from having edited the entire film, all right, and having looked at every piece of footage that there is, and I don't just let the editor kind of select the takes and never get around to looking at that other footage. I look at everything, and Bob was always Lewis. He was always Lewis. It was, you know, it was always real. All right, you know, maybe something happens in the take that's not necessarily what I want for the scene, but it's not false. You know, there's always a realness there. You know, so so he can maybe let go a little bit, because it's not, you know, it's not about, oh no, I really got it there. I really got it on that one. He had it in all of them. Now it's just what worked the best as far as a dramatic scene is concerned.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
Cool.
I've got to go.
Okay.
I'm gonna miss my plane.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
just want-
No, we talked for like
We
actually
talked,
longer
you know,
than I
yeah,
expected.
exactly. Just we're looking at my
Thanks
clock.
to you. No, thanks to you.
Yeah, I'll see you.
See you, I hope.
Yeah.
And I'm
I'll see
sure.
you.
Hey, thanks for doing this. This was fun.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I have to run, but
Hey, we got good stuff.
I'm sorry.
Very nice.